Ramirez Wright, and I run the page for fitness for CPTSD on Facebook. I also have books on Amazon on how to cure natural ways your trauma manifestations or symptoms. And the reason I wanted to put this one particular video out today was because until the year 2024, this is possibly going to be my last video until again January of 2024. And so this is extremely important to me because I am talking about one of the worst symptoms of trauma, and that is depression. Depression, believe it or not, affects every single human being on the planet at some time or another. Now, for some people, it becomes chronic and it becomes their norm. If you are of a healthy mind, you will be able to shake it. Even if you are of healthy mind and you are able to shake it, as we say, you are always going to have that propensity, that vulnerability. Maybe there are members in your family who suffer with depression, anxiety, disorders, and so when it is familial, it tends to be much of a sticker, but it does not mean that it is a life sentence. On the contrary, it has been possibly decades since I have had a depression spell for more than maybe a few hours, if that. So everybody does get depression. It is actually normal and it is common. If you have lost a loved one, if you have lost a pet, if you were rejected for a job, if you lost a friendship, if you are moving to a new place, and leaving the comfort and familiarity of your old home, if your kids are growing up and now going to college and you have that empty nest feeling, there are hundreds of reasons for why people get depression, and every single person has experienced depression at some time or another. So that part obviously is normal and it is fine. What is not fine is when it becomes chronic, or if it lasts for, again, depending on the severity of the reason. My goodness, if you loved someone who's extremely close to you, someone with whom you used to live, a roommate, a spouse, a family member, of course it's going to take you time. Give yourself the time needed. But short of that, pretty much, you should be able to shake things within a reasonable time. What is reasonable? Well, we're all different, but it is not reasonable to grieve for your having lost a pet for 5 years, is it? So that is one example. I mean, it is normal, it is okay to have a little depression here and there. It is not okay. It is not normal, and it can actually be very dangerous when you allow it to go on for too long. And the one thing I'm going to ask you, if you are vulnerable to those depression spells or whatnot, I'm going to ask you for a favor. Do not isolate. Do not isolate. I don't care what you have to do. Do not isolate. Now, remember, being alone is not the same thing as being isolated. If you're isolated and you have depression, that is a very bad, dangerous combination. But if you're a single woman, you live alone, or maybe you don't have large circles of friends, that's all good and fine. But if you're suffering with depression, do not isolate. So, I am putting out this video because, as I mentioned before, until January of 2024, maybe even February, I will not be able to put out another video, but depression is something that I take very, very seriously. There have been people within some circles in my life in the past who were suffering with depression really without people's knowledge. And unfortunately, nobody saw the signs, okay? So whatever we can prevent and whenever we can help others, we are A+, and we are doing the right thing. I believe that when you have gone through trauma yourself, if you have cured or if you have improved over 90% and you sit on that information instead of passing it on or instead of sharing it or helping other people who are going through the same thing, you're selling yourself short and you're selling others short. You could be doing so much, really. If you've gone through that yourself and you're well now, please put out some information that is going to give those people going through it now some hope. I remember when I was going through it in the year 2000, 2001, 2002, we really didn't have Google, right? Today you have so much information. You have so many networks, so many books. You have Amazon, right? And you can get books and books and books with that kind of an information. But back then, I felt alone. Like, what is PTSD? How do I get rid of it? Why am I feeling A, B, and C? What is the correlation between that diagnosis and what I'm feeling? I mean, it was a very lonely place. The thing that I never did was I never isolated myself. Most importantly, I never ever picked up a substance and abused it for that purpose, to feel better. The mistake that a lot of people who are going through depression make is that they get hooked, if not on medications, then on the bottle. And I'm talking about alcohol, drugs, or even self-sabotaging, harming practices. So for all of these reasons, I really did not want to end the year, to finish the year without putting out a video on depression. You are not going through this alone. There are millions and millions of people right now, as we speak, going through depression. It is not abnormal, but it is a bad thing when it is your norm. And we need to get rid of that, and we can get rid of that. And no, you don't need outside forces to do that. I always say there are two who can get rid of your depression, anxiety, whatever mental disturbance you're having. Only two can get rid of that. And that is yourself and your maker, God. God and you are the only two who can get rid of your anxiety, depression, or any other problem you're having. To think that an MD, a PhD, some advisors, some counselors, some ministers, some priests, somebody else outside of you can get rid of your depression is to be mistaken. Now, I am not dispensing any kind of medical advice, and I do not encourage or discourage viewers who are suffering with depression from medication and medical attention. I would say, on the contrary, if you feel like you are out of sorts and you're not getting better and you're really depressed, absolutely, I do think that it is a good idea to contact a professional in the field, which I am not. I am not in the medical profession and I am not in the mental health industry. However, I did go through similar situations to those that you're feeling right now, the manifestations of PTSD, and I came out to the other side. Okay, so this is only my information to benefit you. It is not to be taken in any way, shape, or form as medical advice, because I am not qualified to do that. Having said that, I want you to do some things if you are having depression. Number one, you're going to have to make a self-assessment. Yes, you're going to have to sit down with a little notepad or maybe a pen, and you're going to have to make some notes. I want you to make notes of the times when you are feeling the blues come. What time of day? What are you wearing, as in wearing, at that time? Yes, I want you to write down exactly what you were wearing when you felt that depression coming in the day. Look at the location. Where were you? Were you in your car, maybe listening to the radio to a song that maybe brought back memories? Who was around you, or in whose company were you when you felt that depression coming? Were you at church? Were you at school? Were you at work? Were you having a conversation with someone on the phone? These things are all very important. You have to write them down because we need to pinpoint exactly what it is that is causing that depression for you. When it is things of that nature, like the ones I have just mentioned, they're quite easy to fight, aren't they? If you're inside of a car and a song came up and it brings back memories and it made you depressed, you start to turn off the radio when you're in your car. If you find that you're in the company or presence of a certain individual and you begin to get depressed and you see that on your notepad, it's easy. You avoid that person altogether, etc. But there's one thing that is really, really, really difficult to fight, and that is the intrusive thought based on your memories. You're thinking of the past, and that is causing you depression, which comes with embarrassment, guilt, low self-esteem, and all of these powerful and weird feelings. And the worst part is it's inside your head. Again, when they are external forces causing you depression, it is pretty simple to quit whatever it is that is causing that. But when it is the intrusive thought based on your memories, things that have happened years ago, days ago, a week ago, one day ago, that is really, really hard to fight. And for that, there's another technique that we can use, which we are not going to be discussing on this video. But there are there are some things you can do to practice positive thinking and living above all in the present. short of the intrusive thoughts, then you need to look at what you have written on your notepad, and you need to start tackling the problem, the depression, from that angle. For the intrusive thought, there's another thing you can do. You're going to have to really work on your mind, strengthening your mind, and doing exercises. And there's a little bit of time for those videos. You can also find this material in my books through Amazon, and there are plenty of books, videos, and literature on intrusive thoughts. But for now, we're going to concentrate on those things that we can help, that we can control right away, right? Like avoiding toxic people, right? That's one of them. So the first exercise that I have for you, as I mentioned, is you're going to do a self-assessment. Exactly where were you, what time of day, what were you doing, were you eating when the depression set, were you trying to take a nap when the depression set, were you going to get your mail, whatever. Write it down. Write down all of those little details. Here's the kicker. Do it for 1 month. For 31 days in a row. I want you to take out your notepad and write down the time of day, what you were wearing, who was around you, etc., etc. As soon as you feel that depression, those blues coming at you, that's going to be your number one homework or exercise. Here's the second one. As soon as you wake up for 30 or 31 days, as soon as you wake up, make your bed. Making your bed is one of the most important things that you will do in your life. You have to make your bed as soon as you wake up. Take some pride in who you are, where you sleep, and where you live. Take pride in what you have. It will give you a sense of accomplishment, but above all, it shows discipline. Discipline is one theme. It is one word that you are going to hear in each and every one of my videos almost, because I learned from personal experience that it is discipline that is going to fix problems for you. If you have no discipline, you have nothing. You have a disorderly life. You're living in this moment. Nothing is planned. You can expect chaos. And I'm not talking about being spontaneous and going for a sudden ride on a boat or what have you. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about not having any kind of discipline in your life. That'll cause chaos in your home and in your mind. So for 30 or 31 days, I want you to make your bed as soon as you wake up. Don't wait. Make your bed. It says something about you. Take pride. Show some discipline. Here is a third exercise for depression. Think of what it is that you love to do. Something you really enjoy doing. Everybody's different. Might be playing a musical instrument. It might be reading a book. It might be just something as simple and nice as sitting down in a very quiet part of your home drinking a cup of coffee of your favorite flavor. Something that simple can bring you joy even when you're feeling depressed. Therefore, I want you to think of that, whatever it is, even if it's doing jumping jacks, working out for 5 minutes, drinking your favorite cup of coffee, reading a book, praying, whatever it is, I want you to think of that. And for the next 30 or 31 days, I want you to do it every single morning before going to work, before starting your day, before leaving the home. I want you to do whatever it is that brings you that joy, that brings you a little alive, even when you're going through depression. I want you to do that good thing every single morning after you have done your morning routine, like brushing your teeth, showering, whatever. I want you to do that one thing that brings you joy. That's going to be number 3. Experts and books have been written about how long exactly it takes for a habit to become your norm, or for behavior to become your routine. Some people would argue 28 days. Some people say a full month. We know that the range is somewhere between, and that's why I'm giving you between 28 and 30 days, 31 days, okay? A full month, let's put it that way. For a full month, you're going to do those 3 things. I promise you that by the end of that month, you're going to feel better. I am not saying that you're going to cure your depression in a month. That's not what I'm saying, and I am not qualified to even suggest that because I am not in that industry, okay? You would need to see a professional in that industry. But this is from my personal experience and from the research that I have done about other people who have gone through the same things that you're going through and that I went through, okay? Depression is all too common, but do not let it linger for too long. It's okay, as I said, to feel a little depressed here and there if you've lost a loved one, or a pet, or if you're watching a sad movie and it brings back some kind of a memory. This is all half normal, but it is not normal, and it is definitely unhealthy when it lasts for too long. Do not allow for that to happen. So, I really hope that these videos that I am putting out there help you see that every problem has a solution as long as there's life. When you're alive, there are so many options. You just have to find them. Depression does not have to be a life sentence. It does not have to be. On the contrary, when you finally beat depression and you come to the other side, you're going to learn to appreciate the little things, and every single morning you're going to be thankful for life, because after all, there's nothing more important than life. Life is everything. As long as there's life, there's a reasonable solution to your problem, yes, including depression. No biggie. You're not alone on this. No biggie. Don't sweat it, just do something about it. And avoid substances and things that are going to sabotage your progress. You can do this. If I could, you can. I really hope that each and every one of you watching this video have a beautiful Thanksgiving and a beautiful Christmas Day and a beautiful New Year. Start looking for my videos next year sometime. I am involved in some projects which really require my time. And so I'm going to be concentrating also in my family, my home, and those projects for the holidays. But I want to leave you with a thought before the end of the year. Everything has a reasonable solution, a good solution, a healthy solution. All you need is to have patience. Be patient with yourself and enjoy the process. Think of the very worst things. Think of the worst things. First of all, to not be alive. It doesn't get any worse than that. But aside from that, your freedom is taken away. You go to jail, right? That's as bad as it gets. Or maybe something to that effect. And you have to think about where you are. You really have to put things in perspective. You have freedom. If you're watching this video, I'm going to assume you're home free, right? You're not incarcerated, you're not being held hostage anywhere. You have freedom. And as long as you have freedom, the sky is the limit. Literally and metaphorically speaking, you can do anything, really. It's all up here. You have to learn to control your mind, not allow your mind to control you. And above all, do not think for 1 second that you're going through anything unusual, because you're not. And anybody who tells you, I've never had depression, I've never had, is lying. You don't want to bother with that. It's all hooey. We have all gone through it, and it's probably not going to be your last time. What you do want to learn is to manage your sadness and your grief. You want to learn to control, to limit. Do not allow the grief or the depression to get a hold of you to the extent to where you cannot function and you become dysfunctional and mentally ill. Just control, keep record, keep taking notes, learn some good habits, get into a routine, have some discipline, and take pride in the things you do. The world is an extremely better place because you are in it.